Justice nulle part, police partout. Justice nulle part, police partout. Justice nulle part, police partout.
Oh, hi. You want me to
Justice
open?
nulle part, police
I'm here
partout.
with Sarah.
Justice nulle part.
And Sarah's come all the way from Washington State in the U.S. to this climate march as a part of a delegation called It Takes Roots. I'll let her talk more about it. So, Sarah.
So, my name is Sarah, and I'm part of the It Takes Roots delegation. We're a community of frontline communities and working class people who are making sure that our demands are heard, and it's important that we're here because we know that our elected leaders cannot be trusted to make sure that will not take our demands here. So we had to come to Paris to make sure it's not 2 degrees, which is what the mainstream environmentalists are saying, and it's not 3 degrees, which is what the COP agreement. It is 1.5 degrees to stay alive, and that is what the voices of the global South and because island communities will go underwater at 2 degrees of warming. And
what is it going to take to get to 1.2 degrees? That is a very 1.5. Excuse me. What would it take to keep to 1.5?
We have to keep it in the ground. No more extraction. We have all the technology we need right now to move toward renewable energy. The only thing that is stopping it is the political and social will. And if you look at here right now, we are the solution, and we have the social will. And right now we're pushing our politicians to move the status to have the political will.
Sarah, one question for you. Do you feel like President Obama is serious when he talks about climate change?
No, he's not at all. The United States, pushed off the indigenous rights. On top of that, they're not dealing with the meat industry, and they're not dealing with the military-industrial complex, and the U.S. military uses more fossil fuel than anywhere else in the world. So if they won't deal with both the meat and the military-industrial complex, they're not really dealing with climate change.
Cool. And what about in you and your community? How is climate change affecting you all? And how are you seeing that play out?
Climate change is affecting us in a lot of different ways. We have coal and oil trains that run through our communities and that are at risk at exploding, and the dust from the coal gets into our lungs and water. And on top of that, the city is now starting to rebuild green, and in the rebuilding of it to be new and green, they're pushing out the minority communities and the working class. So we want to make sure that when we create the green economy, is that it's okay for everyone, and that everyone's invited to the table, and that's why we're here to make sure that our voices are heard.
Tell us again who you are, and thank you so much for being here.
So my name is Sarah Tacola, and I'm from Seattle, Washington. I work with Got Green.
Awesome. They were the Take Roots delegation of a bunch of... So we are sitting now on the ground concrete outside of the Eiffel Tower here in, I believe it's called Paris. And today's...
Okay.
That was awesome. That's awesome.
Okay, we're here in Paris.
Hey, we're back. We're here in Paris. We're sitting down outside the Eiffel Tower, where thousands of protesters have just filed in from the Arc de Triomphe to here. They're demanding more action from their leaders. Today was the day that the text was presented. World leaders have agreed to limit global warming to 2 degrees. Many people say that's not enough. It needs to be 1.5. Other people are saying, how are we going to get there? So I'm here with a delegation called It Takes Roots. They're from the United States. They're from frontline communities are most being affected. And I'm here with Molly. Molly, tell us why you came here to Paris and who you're with.
So we came as part of the It Takes Roots to raise up and elevate the grassroots environmental justice concerns of our communities, and also elevate the solutions that we have. The solutions, they're not even being attempted to be discussed at the COP, and so we're demanding that things change. We also came to combat and call out the false solutions that our government is bringing to the COP. And
what are those false solutions?
Things around carbon trading and carbon markets, which just continue the pollution in our communities and make it worse in a lot of cases. And so it's time that we stop looking to these market extractive economies to quote unquote fix climate change. It's time that we really look to our frontline communities who have been doing this work, who have been living resilient, and who know the solutions, who have the solutions. And it's also time to demand that the COP and all of these government officials start coming to our table, and that they recognize our power and our voice.
Where are you living now, and how has climate change or the fossil fuel industry affected your community?
So I'm living in New Jersey, working with Newark, New Jersey, and we are actually being hit by a lot of different types of pollution. We get from natural gas, from the pipelines to the sources, to the actual natural gas plants and incinerators. We need to start stopping these false solutions. People think incinerators are a solution or an alternative, or they get categorized as renewable, and the reality is it's the same burning and it's killing our communities.
What do you say to people who say that there are more pressing issues than climate change, such as war, poverty, inequality, and that climate, well, that stuff can wait?
I say that they're all part of a larger picture, that we stand here as part of It Takes Roots, and we're about no war, no warming. And the military-industrial complex is one of the biggest polluters, and if we don't think about the solutions as having a holistic, and we keep isolating ourselves into campaigns, we're not going to really be able to address the true polluters, the true causes of all of these issues. And so it's time that we continue to unite. If it's climate change, if it's social justice, if it's human rights, if environmental justice, ultimately what we're doing is we're fighting for justice for our communities, and that's what we're here to stay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh,
And then Deanna is the other one.
And hey, just a recap, so we are here outside the Eiffel Tower, if you can be outside of it. We're on the streets of Paris, where thousands of protesters, tens of thousands, from Arc de Triomphe to the Eiffel Tower, demanding more action from their world leaders on climate change. It seems like a lot of the agreements, it's unclear whether it's binding, whether it will be legally binding, but it's definitely clear that there's not a percentage by which countries have to stop emitting. So in earlier renditions, it was 70 to 90% of emissions that need to be cut. Now that's off the table. Now it's just every country on their own deciding what they want to stop emitting. People here, the protesters, young protesters mostly, are saying that's not enough. They need larger promises, and they need for the fossil fuel industry to actually begin a shutdown, begin to stop. A lot of people here are the ones who have been facing it, and I want to talk to some other folks, so if you just be patient as we talk to them.
And also, if anybody has questions, this is Maggie, producer. If anybody has questions, please do send them in.
So, your name is?
Diana Lopez.
Diana Lopez from San Antonio, Texas. Why are you here in Paris?
Well, we're here to say that communities on the ground have the solutions. We've been doing them. We're creating co-ops, we're creating different structures and networks within our local and regional sections to really be able to create and combat climate change on the ground.
Yeah, and San Antonio, what are you all facing there when it comes to the effects of climate change?
Right, so recently this year we've noticed one of the highest rates of floods within cities. So every major large city in Texas has flooded this year. What that means specifically is we're also facing severe drought. We're facing severe weather. We're facing a slew of issues that come with the different climate change, as well as we have fracking around San Antonio and Texas as well. We have uranium mining, and when we have the largest concentration of refineries on the Gulf Coast as well.
You're raising a lot.
Yes.
So tell me something positive. Tell me something good. You talked about cooperatives. You talked about people having solutions. What does that look like? I think a lot of folks don't even know what that would look like.
People are coming together. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of work happening on the ground, like physically talking to folks, physically mobilizing, being in the streets, developing alternative businesses, developing gardens on the ground, developing structures and plans and pushing those at the city level. So really being able to work on policy as well as developing networks and connectedness within the community.
Because you're up against a lot. I mean, we're talking about Texas, right? This is
right, the belly of the beast within the beast.
The belly of the beast within the beast. That's true. So what has the response been from the elected officials in Texas? What's been
bad? We have some of the worst racist governors and elected officials that that there could be in the U.S. And we're also, they're also very like anti-migrant. They're also very anti-brown, black people, indigenous people. Texas has that history of like colonization. It has a history of stripping people's culture and using that to benefit those that are most empowered. And for the past few centuries, that has not been us.
Thank you so much for speaking with us. That was excellent.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We had a question here. Is there any other big media present at this protest?
Oh, there's a lot of media. But the big media, they all have their sort of little posts up at the L'Empouge, which is where the actual climate talks are going down, waiting for the response, the final text. I do think actually that's come out, so they're probably analyzing and picking apart.
Also, what do we know so far about the text? Have we spoken to any of the leaders?
We haven't actually spoken to any of the leaders, but what we do know is that it's a version that one point is that it uses the word decarbonize, at least it did yesterday, we're not sure if it did today, and carbon neutrality. A lot of people say that's actually not enough because it needs to be zero emissions, not neutrality. Neutrality implies that you can offset your carbon emissions by planting trees or using solar. It's unclear whether that's even in the final draft. What we do know is that the cap of warming has been elevated to 2 degrees rather than 1.5. A lot of people say that's not good. Others say that's realistic because 1.5 is, we're gonna be beyond that soon. Anyway, let's find some other folks to talk to.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, please do send them in.
Via Campesina.
Just to recap, here under the Eiffel Tower, there's thousands of protesters organizing, demanding climate justice. They have finished the final draft of the agreement, but I believe it's not yet been signed. It's supposed to happen this afternoon. We're waiting to hear exactly the details and what the stance is of the United States. Just got a question. Have the police been reacting? The police have not been reacting, but they're definitely on their guard. I don't know if you can see them over there. They're definitely out there in full gear waiting to see if things get any more intense.
Take them over here.
Sitting down in protest. Man, climate we have these giant fake, I guess they're icebergs, red lines in them. So the name of this protest is the Red Lines Action. The hashtag D12. It's supposed to signify the lines that we do not cross, should not cross, including climate justice lines. Lots of people gathered here peacefully. Let's go AJ+! We've not seen any violence yet today.
It takes roots!
We just got a shout out from someone yelling AJ+. There has been a huge police presence here though, just to let you know. They've been searching people's bags. We've seen
Aller tout droit, il faut aller soit à droite, soit à gauche, continuer de marcher le long du champ de Mars et re-rentrer au milieu.
They want us to keep going.
Ouais, tu vas à droite.
To the left.
I want to find our friends Julian. I don't know if they got.
So there is police presence here, but they're just on their guard so far. They do have shields, and I believe, see some tear gas earlier. I mean, not deployed, just on hand in case anything got rough. Again, if you guys have any specific questions, please do send them our way. You can see just in the heart of Paris, there's the River Seine. We're just thousands of protesters gathered here under the Eiffel Tower. Here with Francesca.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bien, bien. Hola de mí. Hablamos de
Via Campesina. I'm going to interview them. Again, it's Saturday afternoon around 2:35 in Paris right now.
énorme.
Gathered rather peacefully, chanting and discussing. Yeah, go ahead.
María Isabel, de
María
la Club
Isabel.
Villa Campesina.
Okay, vamos a caminar porque si no we're gonna lose them. All right. María Isabel she's with the Via Campesina, and she's from Guatemala, no? Let's stop 1 second, just 1 second. Paremos aquí, gracias María Isabel. So, ¿qué es lo que está pasando ahí en Guatemala y por qué están aquí en el COP?
Bueno, en Guatemala pues está pasando muchos conflictos, muchos fenómenos naturales.